Bonjour, buddies. Welcome back to another video. Today's first question is, between what two consecutive integers on the number line is the square root of 30 plus the square root of 50 located? So you could do this by estimating, but if you want to prove that this is correct, because in the future you might have numbers that they don't number, okay? They're not linear. But basically, if we're trying to see, you can use the same way that I've explained in a lot of previous videos, in which you kind of just press in on both sides until you get a very, 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 very accurate approximate. So basically what I'm saying is, the square root of 30, let's start with the square root of 30. It's obviously greater than 5, because 5 is 25. So it's obviously greater than 5. But it's also less than 6, because 6 is 36. So the square root of 50 works the same way. Since it's greater than 7, because 49, it's very close though. It's greater than 7, but it's less than 8, because 64. So if we take this idea, and we can see here that our small numbers add up to be 12, right? And then our middle numbers here, so if we combine the equations, basically, we now have this sort of equation. Inequality, technically, but still. But that doesn't give us a very, approximate answer, because it's asking for consecutive. So what if it was 14 or 13? Or what if it's 12 and 13? So we don't actually know. So a way that we can test for this is to find a middle between these two numbers and see which way it's leaning closer to. So for example, if we find 5.5 here between 5 and 6, which is literally just the middle, the square root of 5.5 is 30.25, so I will save you guys some solving there. And if it's 30.25, that means that on this side, we can cut out the 6, because 30.25 is still greater than 30. So we can switch the 6 for 5.5. And this way you know that it's less than 5.5, but still greater than 5. But now it's within the smaller region. And we do the same for over here, so 7.5. If we use 7.5, that means that 6.25, that still squishes us a little bit smaller, so 7.5 is now here. So using this idea, we now know that our number, irrelevant information now, lol. Our number is greater than 12, because 5 plus 7, 30 plus 50, which is our number, but is still less than 5.5 plus 7.5, which is 13. So now we have a very, very, very consecutive line of numbers, and we squished it down to just the middle too. So this means that the two consecutive integers on the number line that are on the two sides of the square root of 30 plus the square root of 50 is 12 and 13. Moving on to problem number 2, which of the following numbers is largest? The square root of 75 over 9, or 50% of 68 over 4. So in this problem, let's think of it like a largest competition. Which number is the tallest? Which number is the tallest? So let's compare the first two first, because that's kind of just how orders work. So let's pretend that the square root of 75 is our first contestant, and 75 over 9 is our second contestant. So taking this idea, if 75 over 9, this is equivalent to 75 over the square root of 81, since the square root of 81 is 9. So this is then less than, if we can write the square root of 75 as 75 divided by said square root of 75, because two square roots of 75 multiplied together create 75. So then this is less than 75 over good old square root of 75, which is equivalent to 75's square root. So this equation, since the square root of 75 is less than the square root of 81, it's divided by less. So that means that the square root of 75 is greater than 75 over 9 because division. So 75 over 9 is now officially out of the competition. But our champion is not yet to relax for long. So now they have to compare heights to 50% of 68 over 4. This sounds so lame. If we chop 68 in half with our 50% of 68 over 4, you would get 34 over 4, which is then equivalent to 17 over 2, which is 8.5. So now we just have 8.5. But how do we know that 8.5 is greater than or less than the square root of 75? Well, we technically don't. But we can square it. And then we can see if the number that results is greater than 75 or less than 75. So 8.5 times 8.5, so 8 times 9, which is 7225. And 7225 is less than 75. So that means that 50% of 68 over 4 is also officially shorter. This means that the square root of 75 is our victor of the world, I guess. So 75 is the greatest square root of 75. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys learned something new, and I will see you all on the next one. Goodbye.